Hello and welcome into the SorareData show. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare today to talk about how Sorare could not possibly even consider taking away thresholds. It would just end everything. We'd all leave and there'd be nothing to talk about. That's pretty much the show, actually. That's all it is. Just kidding. Just kidding. Thanks everyone for coming in. It's a little Friday afternoon for me, Friday noon. Philly Dilly, finally a good topic. I feel like we've had a lot of good topics. Jeez. Kev Hurd, what's up? And Tuggy, I like that. I love this. My favorite thing about this show is that there are people who are like watching from all over. Kevin Hurd, evening all. Tuggy, good morning, mates. Everyone's all over. Just love it. Scosmo, what's up? Good to see you. Or, thanks for being here, I guess. Surface, hello, good place. You like the action poses? I feel like an absolute clown, but I'm leaning into it. So just get used to it. John Andrews, what's up? Brazil, morning everyone. Last day of my PTO, so my live viewings will suffer again. Thank you for spending your PTO here. I do appreciate that. Dream Oblivion, if you touch it, I'll leave the platform. Thankfully, I can't touch anything. Jacob, afternoon. Everyone is here. Really appreciate all of the people who are in. Quinny, what's up? Home time for me. Yeah. Fling Flong says I should tread carefully. I don't even know why I would need to do that. Daniel Cooper, what's up? Alex Wilson, incredibly disappointed to not see you in your newly acquired shirt. So there's a funny thing about that shirt that I wasn't going to admit this, but I'm going to because I feel like I need to. I don't know why. As I just like keep clicking all the people who are here. Mike Bass, I may have had a beer already now that my game's been canceled tonight as the pitch is not thawed. Anyway, so the jersey came and I had absolutely no idea that it was autographed. And so I put it on and it was a perfect fit. And I took a picture and I sent it to a few people, including a little looking up with Laird group chat I have with Harry Trades and Sam Ty. And Sam was like, yeah, it's a great shirt. Now take it off and frame it. And I was like, it's unsigned. Why would I frame it? And he was like, well, what are all the signatures? And I was like, what? And I literally had to go back and look. And it's very difficult to see the signatures on the shirt when you're just like looking at it. It was dumb. I should have just brought it in here. But it's really funny because I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to wear this shirt. Like, I'm actually going to wear it. And then the signatures, and I'm like, oh, I guess I can't wear it. But now I'm like, maybe I can. It's kind of weird. Like as I get older and my collectibles become more digital, like, what am I going to do with it? I mean, obviously it's going to go right here. I'll get it framed and I'll have to move my, so you can see a little more. I have my John Starks poster over there. So it'll be up here at some point, but it was kind of funny because I was like, oh, I was really excited to wear it. And admittedly, I'm actually still looking for a Midtjylland 2022-23 season home kit. Like Basson said, wash it, problem solved. I would wear it with the signatures on it. It just seems weird. I don't know. But thank you very much to Sorare for sending that. It was great. The good place said, will you print out the Sorare cards and frame it like the Brighton jersey? So I'm not going to do that, partially because there is a card in the collection that they only made one of, and I don't own it. And I don't know if I really want to buy it. The person who bought it obviously knows the value of it in terms of making it a part of the complete collection, but I don't know. Let's see. So there's that. But yeah, it was exciting. And it's awesome. It's awesome. Very, very excited about it. But we're not here to talk about things you can actually win at Sorare that you might want. Wait a minute. No, that's a bad. Hold on. We're We're not here just to talk about winning stuff from Sorare or getting stuff from Sorare that you want and have it be jerseys. It's, I don't know what the segue is, but anyway, we're here to talk about thresholds again. Except this time we're going to talk about how they can't possibly get rid of them. And I'm going to do my best because I obviously don't agree. It was Brose Canseco who asked for a show on why they have to keep thresholds. And so I think it's worth talking about because ever since Andy brought the idea up of getting rid of thresholds and making kind of the game all about being competing to win, then it's all about, like, I like that idea. I like the idea of, Brose Canseco, oh, it's here. I'm glad you're here. So I know I said stop the threshold topic, felt the other side needed to be addressed. Absolutely. And I'm disappointed that I didn't bring that part up enough. And so we're going to talk about that side today. And if anybody's curious, if anybody has somehow watches SorareData content and hasn't seen what we've talked about previously, then you can go back and do that. But fundamentally, the threshold is really, really important for a lot of current users. I make my Cap 240 super rare lineup first every week. And when I don't have a lineup for it, it sucks, mostly because of the goalie situation. Like this weekend, I just don't have a goalie. And so I can't play Cap 240 super rare. That's the one that I prioritize. So I basically go Cap 240 super rare, all-star rare plus. And when I decide that all-star rare plus is not strong enough, I go to Cap 240 rare. And for someone who's been on the platform for as long as I have been, it seems bad to me that I would be focusing on threshold so much, but it's the easiest money to make on Sorare. And so why wouldn't I go after it? I think it's important to remember, and some of you don't even know that there was a time where Sorare had to kind of confirm that the threshold wasn't going anywhere for a certain amount of time. To be honest, I was going through back on like old Medium posts, and I couldn't find it. But I also haven't looked that hard. But yeah, so there was a time where they were like, hey, and this was mostly in like 2021. Sorry, I'm actually still trying to look as I'm speaking. But here we go. Wow, look at that. So let me pull this up because I think it's important to at least understand the history of threshold on Sorare. And it's been around for a long time. And that doesn't mean it needs to stick around. They've gotten rid of things that they've had before. But this Medium post is from May 2021. So 2.5 years ago. And this is basically just an announcement about how they used to do card rewards in a certain way. They'd have a certain number every game week, but they tried to make them dynamic. Like there were game weeks where there were like a lot of games and not that many rewards, and then kind of the other way. And they just changed it to say, if there are more teams playing, there'll be more rewards, which right now for all of us seems very simple. Like obviously that makes sense, but there was a time where that didn't exist. And within this dynamic reward announcement, and this is how they, if there's one region open, we're going to do this. And if there's two, blah, blah, blah. And within here, there's an entire section. What is happening with the ETH thresholds? And it says the ETH thresholds will remain until we introduce our new progression feature at the end of this summer. Daniel Cooper, when progress bar. You can learn more about what we have in mind for the new progression feature in Carl's answers in our recent AMA. which I actually didn't click through. Is this on Reddit? It was on Reddit. Jeez. In April, we announced that we would peg the ETH thresholds and prizes to a dollar value. We do not have an exact date for when this will happen, or for now, everything is staying the same. And for now, excuse me. We made this decision so that we and our community have the opportunity to experience the new reward system first. So fundamentally, that's it. The ETH thresholds will remain until we have something better. And it's been 2.5 years. We do not have a progress bar. And we still have thresholds. But you can read right here that they want to get rid of them. Thankfully, they have not yet. But it's important to recognize that. It's also important to recognize how important thresholds have become to Sorare, to Sorare managers. And they generally used to be a vehicle for making you not feel like a loser. And that card rewards were hard to get. And this was before their dynamic rewards. But card rewards were hard, and they were like, hey, if you score 250 points in All-Star Rare, don't worry. You may not win a card, but you'll win 0.02 ETH. Or 0.01 if you score 205 points, which looking back, like 205 is all you had to score. And ETH was much cheaper back then, and it was just a very different time on Sorare. Cards were worth a lot more. So if you did win a card, it was worth a lot. But it became kind of an afterthought. And there was still plenty of content out there of like, what's the cheapest way to make a team that could win the threshold every week? And that was always sort of the introductory way into the game. And it also only existed in All-Star Rare. And you could use one common, which, again, looking back is wild. So it wasn't really the actual goal. John Andrews said it's absurd looking back that we could field an uncapped lineup in All-Star and win $50 each week. $50 and any card that you qualified for in All-Star. Now, again, limiteds didn't exist back then, but there were no super rares, there's no unique threshold. So Mike Basson also said, just think of how many full league licenses we not held at that time, and it's impressive as to where we stand now. Yeah, absolutely. And so where was I going with that? Right. So it was an afterthought. Hey, you didn't win a card. You didn't win a card, but hey, here's some money. And generally that amount of money wasn't enough to buy a card that made a difference. And that's what was kind of crazy, both about how expensive cards were and the fact that you basically would just kind of hold it. There was very little winning your threshold and like immediately buying something. And it would take like a lot of thresholds to be able to afford whatever you wanted. And that's very different now, that particularly now that we have limiteds too, you win a $50 rare threshold, you could buy a ton of stuff. You could buy whole lineups in limited. And there got to a point where thresholds were no longer the consolation prize. They were the prize. And part of that came from the drop in card prices, that winning $50 is actually better than winning whatever tier 5, whatever you win. And the problem now is, because so many people prefer to win the cash and eventually buy whatever they want, getting rid of that is very, very difficult for anybody to even consider. And so John said that's why we should expect them to reduce the threshold amounts, which they kind of announced when they kind of hinted at that when they did peg them to the US dollar, that they could change them. Obviously, everybody's always like, oh, they'll just change it to $100 as opposed to 25. And reducing them looks really bad. Like, it looks really bad because now you can't compete for as much. And you're also Sorry, hold on. So you can't compete for as much, and it kind of puts Sorare in this position of like, hey, we just can't reward that much, and that looks bad too. I forget how to say this name. If you could remind me, please. Sorare. Kimru? Yeah. Said we won 0.02 ETH, which didn't feel like real money. $50 makes you think twice. So it's funny because even if you still take it in ETH, you're right. It does. Cumry, excuse me. Cumry. Thank you. Cumry. Yeah. So yeah, I agree that the pegging it to fiat and then like introducing the fiat wallet and being able to pay in fiat on Sorare made the threshold feel like real money. And then you're like, wow, I'm actually winning quite a lot. And yeah, so anyway, so the reason why people get so angry about the possibility of losing thresholds is because they have changed strategies specifically to help them win thresholds. And we would be really pissed if it was any other situation. If for all these years, like Champion Europe were the best prizes, and all of a sudden Sorare was like, hey, by the way, we're only going to reward challenger cards now. All champion cards will just be sold, auctioned, or instant buy. People would be furious. And I think that's the same way with these thresholds. Like people are going to be really angry. I think the argument that like new users are going to be pushed off by this is really weak. Like I think that's actually the weakest part of the argument to keep them, because the new users are not coming in for that. And I say that as somebody who does not speak to any new users. I don't try to get anybody to join Sorare, and I have not been a new user in a long time, but very, very few people are joining this game to play Threshold right away. If they do, they're well informed on what's going on, and most people who join new games are not. John Andrew said if they remove thresholds, the meltdown will be like something we've never witnessed before on Sorare. Yeah, but also it's never been something that we've witnessed. So of course it'll not be like anything we've witnessed. So the reason why the threshold is important, and I'm very confident that Sorare know this. Like, I don't think we're talking about anything that they didn't realize. But the reason why it's so important is because it provides liquidity to the market that most users can't win enough to win cards, sell cards, and then buy the cards they want. And because of that, they need the cash injection. It's why I do it. Like, it's why I focus on super rare 240. Like, $200 paid out is very, very important to me. And it helps me acquire cards that I want, that I actually want. And not to say that I've never won a card that I wanted, or won a card that I didn't know that I didn't want, but then turned out to be awesome. Like, I have plenty of those, but it's the easy money. Like, I think we need to at least address that, right? Like, the easiest way to win $50 on Sorare is to play Cap 240 rare. I would love anybody to argue with me that it's like easier to win a card that's worth $50, because it's just not. And so what do you do when you take away like the easiest way for people to win without pissing everyone off? And you can't do it. And that's the problem. Bruce Moss said, when will they make the announcement for the strategy this year? Weren't we told like February, early February? And so what's funny is what I don't really love, and I totally get why people do it, but if they get rid of thresholds, like I'm selling up and leaving. And I don't think those types of threats change their opinion at all. Like they know that people will be upset. And sometimes decisions are made that upset people. And as we've learned on Sorare, like you cannot please everybody. There's always going to be somebody who's pissed about something. Now, more people are going to be pissed about the threshold than anything else. Brazil said people sell up and leave all the time. Also, please, can we stop using the phrase sell up? If prices are going down everywhere and people are leaving because of that, nobody's selling up. Or we need a comma. I'm selling and I'm up and out of here. Exactly, Tuggy. Most people are selling down. So the difficulty that we have is it's become the most, it's been the most popular way for people to play for a long time. And it would be a gigantic change to get rid of thresholds. But they've made like gigantic changes before. They haven't had this many users. So there is a difference between a change that you make in May 2021 versus February 2024. And so the Paris says, all I want is to be pleased. I don't believe you. Or maybe you do. But people are like, no, I want to be pleased. And by pleased, I mean, I want to make money. And so removing the threshold is the gigantic change. Sorry. Blue Tomato said, what do you consider as the last gigantic change? And probably these dynamic rewards. But let's see. Oh, I can't go back to it. When did I say this was? May 2021. And Medium's going to make me go all the way back to the beginning. Oh, here we go. That's annoying as I just go through. Let's see. Pegging it to fiat was a pretty big change. Lister play. Yep, that was a good one. John said we need the vast majority to be pleased. So I don't think there's any way for you to know what the vast majority think, because I think there are a lot of very loud minority opinions that think they're the majority. Brad Craig, collection bonus seemed pretty gigantic. Yep. Anyway, Medium just makes me see 10 articles at a time, and then I just have to keep scrolling. That's May 2023 product mode map. Yeah, Scosmo said the vast majority are not the ones on Twitter. They're the quiet users just playing the game. Totally. Rose said adding Captain and XP in 240 and raising it from 250 to 288. I don't think that's a big change at all. That was like almost an expected change because they specifically said, hey, we're probably not going to keep this forever. Specialist and Underdog, those were interesting. Both starting those and getting rid of them. Sorry, still going through Medium here. I mean, you guys can do this with me, I suppose. Academy challenges? I don't even remember this. Anyone remember? Sorare Football Academy? What are Academy challenges? Minor task completing a set number of challenges, and every challenge, is this just like an onboarding thing? I think it is. Yeah. Cumry said, football index continually increased rewards to keep users happy. In hindsight, that proved a terrible decision. See, guys, it's okay. We just need to reduce rewards and then we'll be around forever. I'm just kidding. I mean, it could be true, but I'm kidding. Let's keep going back. Sorare community update rewards, May 20. Is that the one that I pulled up before? No. They said they were going to do game week calendars. 40% of the cards for rewards. This was the pegging announcement. So this was May, and they announced it to change in August. And then there's this video from Nicola. Arthur, is there any indication that Sorare has a problem with threshold? Kind of. I mean, there's the indication that auctions are way down and payouts of thresholds are up. But that's it. And that's nothing from Sorare directly. I mean, obviously we know how many how much they make on auction. We know how much revenue they make on auctions because we can see how much each card goes for. We have absolutely no idea what the licensing fees are or any costs of Sorare. We have no idea. So Dream of Believing says, if you don't have the cards to compete, that's large compete, it doesn't make any sense to play other than thresholds. So I think you're right. And that's the problem. So I think they need to, that's why I went back to my whole idea of paying out cash in other places as opposed to just one competition. Like, I think it fundamentally is boring if all you're doing is building towards one lineup, which is your cap 240 team. And I think they need to do more than that. The game should be more about just the one lineup that you're making, which you're not even making to compete. You're just trying to score 280. So that's the problem. Here's MoonPay. Oh, you guys forgot the biggest one. Game Jam. Game Jam was huge. And you guys have just forgotten about it. As if it didn't change everything. Oh, there's Afcon. Mike Basson said, or you have to make hay on game weeks like this last one. Look at U23 Rare Plus. Yeah, I thought I saw McBride won with a 4-man lineup. Or second place. Podiumed with a 4-man lineup. Ooh, look at this. Just official statement. What does that mean? Oh, we're not gambling. That's funny. Zyler? Is that how we're going to say that? That's how I'm going to say it. Surely they have to keep cap modes and increase rewards there to have some kind of way of progression. Otherwise, low to mid quality cards will be worthless. I agree. Oh, Daniel Cooper said 169 points, podiumed U23. I agree that cap modes are important, particularly for those types of those lower quality, mid to lower quality cards. Absolutely. And I don't think they should get rid of those. Specifically because of that. The problem is that, at least for cap 240, it's overpowered now. That you actually want those cards more than better cards. And like fundamentally, like, how do you sell that game to your friends? And they're like, wow, let me go get Kimmich. And you're like, whoa, don't do that, because then you'll have to find someone with an L15 of like 12. And they're like, why? Aren't I trying to win? And you're like, no, you don't want to win too much. You just want to score 280. Mike said the biggest change will be when Laird makes a withdrawal. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Still going here. Oh, we got legends. 50 Sorare, 50 football legends are joining the NFT football magic of Sorare. What a headline. La Liga joins, introducing limited cards. I mean, limited cards were obviously a gigantic. That was probably the biggest. Introducing more reward transparency from Thomas, a full stack engineer. So this is where they were like, you want transparency, we'll give it to you. And then it wasn't quite enough. And they kept saying like exactly how they were going to do it. And everybody started doing the math and they were like, wait, this doesn't work out. And then they were like, oh, it's actually very different. This is great. Card reward selection is made using a random generator that is seeded using 2 values. So yeah, they were going to like randomly reward certain cards, which is like basically reward boxes now. Look at that. You could verify it on What is that? Ruby gems, whatever the hell that is. Steph, don't you dare touch our thresholds. Let the VCs be upset and find a way to keep them and make the VCs happy in the future. No? So I don't think the VCs actually care about thresholds. Like, they don't know that. They don't know anything about that. Yeah. Like, there's no VC who's like, hey, I think you're paying out too much in thresholds. They're just like, how much do you make and how much are you spending? Like, that's the problem. And a lot of them, they don't even care that much either. I mean, obviously they want their investment to be worth more, but they're nobody from a venture capital company is like going into Sorare's books and being like, I think you're paying out too much in cap 240 rare. Like, that doesn't happen. Also, the let the VCs be upset is the easiest way to like have your company just flat out disappear. And also the whole like find a way to keep them happy and the VCs happy. I think they obviously want to do that. Like, Andy and I were talking about it, or we mentioned it weeks ago, that Sorare, if they don't, they should have a weekly meeting of like how to increase revenue, or excuse me, increase like profit. And if you have that meeting, obviously getting rid of the biggest cost reward wise comes up. That doesn't mean they need to do it, or that it might be more if they did it, it would be more detrimental. Like, that would be bad. But I don't think the don't you dare touch our thresholds, which obviously is what I put in the title of this, is really what they need to hear. Scosmo, flip it. Better card rewards in capped, cash in uncapped. Use your lesser cards to win better cards. Use better cards to win cash. I don't think you can distribute as much cash to like replace the value of the cards, but that's an interesting idea. That's kind of a play on the whole, like, use old season cards to win new season cards and new season cards to win cash. That's interesting. Cumry said, so the quality over quantity crowd were wrong overall. They're not wrong. They're just, well, I guess. So that's the problem, though. The way that the game is currently set up, you don't want quality or quantity. Like, if all you're playing for is the threshold, you don't need that many cards. You need more than 5, obviously. Like, we know that, but you don't need 50. You probably don't even need 15. And you can't take the quality because it's prohibitive in cap 240. And so the argument is like, oh, just make uncapped threshold, but then what's the benefit still of getting like better cards? And then the argument is like, well, just raise it. And it's like, well, now you're literally making it harder for people. Is that better? If they were like, hey, we're keeping the threshold, but it's 350 now, but it's uncapped. Who's happy about that? Like, is anybody actually happy about that? Ricomon said U23 super rare third place had 1 card. Sorry, I'm looking. I happen to click on the Sorare AMA from May 2021 that we were talking about before. Look at this first question. It's frustrating seeing similar accounts always in the top 10 on, I don't know what GD4 is, global division, all-star division 4. So that's global rare all-star, basically. Early adopters with huge galleries have a disproportionate advantage and was meant to be the gateway division for new users. Are there any plans to cap entries? I feel like we've already had this conversation. I find it hard to sell my own cards. Will there be an option I can auction them? Probably not. How do you plan on making Sorare more accessible to the average fan while protecting the early users' investments? Most people probably can't spend $500 to build a team. This is 3 years ago, by the way. Can you elaborate more on the plans for thresholds post-summer? You have previously confirmed thresholds will stay in some form and have confirmed that ETH payments will not just be for the top 3. Carl, we talked about creating a new threshold feature that will facilitate progression. The goals of this new progression feature are to allow managers to gradually work their way towards rewards, even with affordable teams, create the idea that every point matters towards your progression, and offer an element of choice, strategy, and control in a manager's rewards. So the reason why we make so many progress bar jokes is because of how often Sorare talked about the progress bar and never released it. In a given game week, managers will accumulate the team points they made in Global All-Star Division 4 and Global Academy as long as they did not win a card and did not participate in any higher division. These points carry over game week to game week over 3 months, and the points will be represented on a progress bar on the play page. There are 4 reward thresholds on the progress bar, each requiring a different number of points, and each threshold offering a better prize than the last. When a manager's progress bar reaches a certain threshold, the manager can choose to claim the reward or ignore the reward and continue earning points until they reach the next better threshold. When a manager chooses to claim a reward, they're offered a choice. This is an example of what that option or what that might look like. 1, a random hidden rare card of a particular tier between tier 3 and star. Tier 3 was the last one back then. Or an amount of money in ETH fixed to a fiat value between $50 and $2,000. And option 3, an amount of XP given to 5 players of their choice in their collection. This was before the collection game, by the way. Between 2 level ups per player and 8 level ups per player. After you make your choice, the progress bar returns to 0. If you do not reach a threshold after the 3-month deadline, the points will be lost. Will you push your luck and go for bigger prizes or settle for the first thing you can get? Anyway. Shaforko, been a minute. The thing about threshold is a lot of people progress from limited rare, super rare with teams made from threshold, and they are not able to win any other reward, and accumulating threshold to buy better cards is their only way. I agree. That's the problem. Yeah, so if you remove threshold, what do they have to play for? Cumry said, Sorare and VCs may well prioritize user growth over auction income at the moment. That's possible. That's possible. How many thresholds do you need to win to buy a rare goalkeeper? A lot. Carrie was saying that. How many limited thresholds? It's like 20, 25, half a year, 6 months. Mike said, when goalie reward special weekly. They tried that already. Luis, what do you got? What if they go with new season tournaments? They move all the cash from threshold to the new season tournament, like the Premier League one. You can win them, and then they get more cash from auctions. So people that pisses people off because now you're making me buy new cards to win cash. And instead, I want to use the cards that I previously bought and never buy another card again and win my $50 every game week. Surface, have you consider that maybe Sorare is a shooting star, something amazing to experience in the moment, but it won't last forever. We can just be glad we got to be here for the ride while it lasted. Nope. And I don't even want to think about that. I'm just kidding. Andy wants to circle back on pegging, but I'm not going to. No. You're like a child. Somebody said Rivals literally has a progress bar. Kind of. It's like a fake progress bar. It's like, hey, congrats for doing that thing. Now do it again, but a bit longer. And you guys love your pegging jokes. So he said, I actually really like the progress bar idea. I don't know why it didn't. I don't know. Question 5, how do you plan to survive long term? Obviously, the only income at the minute is card sales. And as we know with other companies, that cannot last forever. We've also seen that commissions on buys and sells doesn't work alone either. So do you have any other plans to get regular income in the future? This is crazy. Pasquale said, I've been playing since the end of 2020, but I would definitely leave if they got rid of it, and I think they will. Yeah. Let's see. Sorry, catching up on the chat here. Franco, is there anything after the 7 consecutive arena wins in Rivals? Excuse me, Franco. I think it's 10. Anyway, should I just read this and pretend like I'm Nicola? First of all, we'd like to thank you all for caring about the long-term potential of Sorare. What a great line. We sell cards to enable managers to compete in a fantasy football game. Not to buy and sell, not to trade, just to compete in a fantasy football game. Those are my words. Back to this. As of today, there are roughly 250,000 cards in circulation and roughly 15,000 managers playing the game, excluding the free managers, which is only 16 cards per manager. Not bad, right? We do see a very important potential to sustain this model whilst growing massively the number of managers in the coming months and years. We're very lucky that Sorare is a platform built for football fans. Football is the most popular sport in the world, and we've only scratched the surface of our potential and reach. Companies synonymous with football and less popular sports have had huge success by selling cards alone, and the card collecting industry is still growing. Our card collectibles have utility and are NFTs, which gives them added potential, backed in scarcity, true ownership, portability, traceability, and more. This is the worst answer I have ever seen to a question. Because of football's global appeal, every year brings a new generation of football fans. Every season brings a new wave of footballers who make a name for themselves, so we have a new supply and new demand every year. Beyond the market, our model doesn't need other revenue streams, but we're very ambitious. Is that really what that said? Beyond the market, our model doesn't need other revenue streams, but we're very ambitious. Wow. We want to build a global brand that is not just synonymous with football. We want to build the online destination for football fans. Whenever a fan sits down to watch their favorite team, they will do so with Sorare for their stats, for their latest news, for the live experience that our platform brings. This vision will bring more opportunities for revenue. Do it with your French accent, please. I don't have a French accent. Hold on. The company has been profitable from day one, despite huge gas fees recently, and our profitability will increase in the coming months with the implementation of our blockchain scaling solution, benefiting the whole community. Last but not least, Sorare is strongly backed by the best US investors. We're all in this together in this journey to create a brand that will last for decades to come. The next one is, I'd like to play Sorare also on my mobile phone. Will this ever happen? Yes, it will happen. People keep saying there's PayPal on Sorare. Is that like for real? Is that for everyone or just you Euros? Get some pitch notes or something? Who's this guy? Yeah, well. Yeah, somebody got an announcement somewhere. But that's great news. PayPal deposits. It's for us. Oh, sweet. That's awesome. Let me go deposit. Hold on. BRB. Add funds. Add cash. Pay with PayPal. Wow. I might do that later today. Mobile announcement. Oh, is it on my phone? I don't even have anything, I don't think. No, I got nothing. Well, that's great. That's great. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, the next question was how they're planning on dealing with the devaluation of current cards. They get less valuable every season, and the addition of 100 equivalent. And they say that's a collection game. When are you going to market? That's funny. Yeah, that's all they got in that one. I don't need to go through that anymore. But here, do I have the link? Yeah, here we go. I'll drop this link in the chat in case anybody wants to read it. Yeah, this is great. Great news for PayPal. So you don't need thresholds. Now you can just deposit money. Has anybody tried to withdraw with PayPal yet, now that it's been available for 12 seconds? Just went on Sorare Twitter. Great. Why isn't it on their blog or something? Twitter.com/Sorare. I just see rivals. I don't see anything about PayPal. I got nothing here. Anyway. Yeah, so the threshold thing. Obviously they can't do it without not just like a solution, but like a very, very clear path of, if you're used to winning $50 every game week, here's how you do it now. And that's it. That's it. And that's kind of what I was trying to get through on the other day. I don't see it. Oh, here we go. PayPal deposits now available for USD. Here you go, guys. KYC verification will be required. Yeah, it's honestly phenomenal. That's great news. Brazil said withdraw is what you do from your bank account to send to Sorare. That's oh, Sorare support is the one who announced that. Okay. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that if they're going to get rid of thresholds, they have to say, hey, but this new system we have might be a little tougher, but a lot of people will still be able to win money. And I feel like some of the solutions, some of the ideas that some people have had of either raising the threshold number or paying out less, but then like paying out more the higher you score, just works in any competition. But you have to make it look like people can still win. And everyone who sells out on the announcement without even seeing if they can win as much money or more or how much less, just leads to all of us being able to get cheaper cards. Andy said there's no threshold, but you can put $50 in your Sorare wallet from PayPal. Perfect solution. Yeah, I agree. Honestly, if that option was available 3 weeks ago when I was trying to buy a card and didn't have enough ETH or cash, I would have absolutely done it. I would have deposited to buy a card, and instead now I don't have that card, and I'm very upset about it because someone else got it. So yeah, I think we need to just, so the important thing that I want to stress is that I think Sorare know that getting rid of the threshold pisses a lot of people off. And I don't think that's going to make them not do it if they are even thinking of doing it. But they've talked about it for years. Literally 2.5 or 3.5, however many years that was. Like I read that to you. Like they have been trying to get rid of this for a long time. They had a great idea, and I don't know what it is that stopped them from doing the progress bar. But I don't know. Like the more I talk about it, the more I'm convinced they get rid of it. But like there literally has been nothing from Sorare saying like, hey, we're getting rid of it, or we think we have to get rid of it. And it's just one of those things that I keep talking about. And I haven't seen the argument of why they should stay other than people saying they'll just leave if they get rid of it. And they say that without knowing what the alternative is. Like, I don't think that there's a possibility. I think there's 0% chance that Sorare say, hey, we're getting rid of the threshold, but everything else stays the same. Like, no chance that happens. And so leaving before finding out what the new thing is seems hasty to me. But I get it. I get people just don't want to deal with that. It would certainly change the way I play, because I play for thresholds now. And so that's, yeah. Ricomon said, I think the announcement of an announcement and cryptic tweets need to stop. Mike said, so stop talking about it then. Yeah, I should. I was going to. And then Brose was like, hey, can you fight for the other side? And I was like, you're right. We should do that. And like, my job is literally to talk about Sorare and stuff like this. So I need something else. We already have a show planned for next week that I think people are really going to like. It's going to be me and Chani on Wednesday, talking about progression, or what was it called? Progression versus domination. Just basically like, should you progress up scarcities or just dominate the scarcity that you play? Service said the announcement of the announcement is how they get us to apply the lube before the news drops. I probably should have read that all the way through before I put it up on the screen and read it out loud. Fling Flong, reward boxes will appease the losers, become good enough to win cards, or face a lifetime of loot box addiction. Cumry said, I'd buy better cards if payments were awarded according to finishing position instead of threshold. I agree. I think a lot of people would. Blue Tomatoes, how would you respond if they say the threshold stays the same and nothing changes? I would probably look into buying uniques and trying to farm the unique threshold. Maybe. I mean, I've thought about that already. And I don't know. Like, nothing changes sounds weird, because right now I think there's a legitimate problem that the elite cards are not valuable enough. As weird as that sounds, because I don't have any of them. Like, I don't have like the really, really elite cards, and I would love to have them. And they're closer now to being obtainable than ever. But I think that's actually bad. Miguel said that the current prices, it's the best route to go. Unique cap 240 is laughable. Yeah, I mean, and Blue Tomatoes, what if they say it stays the same for another 6 months? I actually think that is the worst possible thing they could do, is say like, we're going to keep it for 6 more months, because then it's, well, what happens in 6 months? And like, we'll tell you in 6 months. Like, you really do not want that. Louis said, you have Messi. That's elite. I have one, like, that's the elite card I have. The other ones I have are like, I have very good cards. I'm not saying I have bad cards, but like the super elite ones, I tend not to. And I have Messi. I have 37-year-old Messi, not 35-year-old Messi. Ricomon said, I think saying nothing changes after we just had changes in super rare and unique threshold. So like, I think we all look at the changes that they announced in unique and super rare threshold as much bigger than it is. Like, that wasn't that big of a change. That wasn't, they were just like, hey, you know how you get 20% there? You should get it here too. Like, that's it. It wasn't the game. You don't play cap 240 any differently in super rare or unique, because they have the scarcity bonus now. It's exactly like, you play it exactly the same way. Zyler said, I was wondering if they cannot use a variable threshold payout. You take an average of a set of tier 1 to tier 5 card values, and you base your amount on that. Card values drop, payout amounts drop. Isn't that just a race to zero, though? Forkel, does your 35-year-old Messi running more than his 37? That's a good question. I'll get the earlier season. Yeah, I have to get the older season Messi's because he's younger, and then he'll score more. I like that. Luis said whatever change they make should go live in the next Euro season. I think that's what they're. I think that's. I don't think that they're announcing something next or in 3 weeks, whenever early February is, and saying it's happening right now. Miguel said, if you trust the team, why aren't you taking advantage of this opportunity? Which of buying these, of putting in more money for new cards? I should be. I mean, I've been acquiring cards. I need to sell some. But you're right. I could deposit easily now with PayPal. Rikamon said, I think the unique change is bigger, though, as it's harder if you only have 4 uniques. Oh, maybe. Yeah, that's true. That's true. The good place. If their goal is new users, then maybe super rare and unique stay untouched because it's not where new users go. I think the change to super rare and unique threshold recently is actually evidence that they don't want to have highly segregated things. Like they want some consistency. And so I don't think that's reasonable. Daniel Cooper, I just want an MLS summer tournament like the Prem one. I wouldn't be shocked if they did that. It's the biggest league they have in the summer and like number of teams. And they got to sell cards. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. So Josh says, I agree with Rikamon. If they were to make a change, it would have been made sense to change it with the last update. No point going to the effort of adding scarcity if you change it 2 months later. So again, I don't think that they're changing it right now. I think they are announcing a change now that will go into effect in July or August. Miguel, aside from overall prices, what else is Sorare doing wrong? Interested in this. That's an interesting question. I think they're not taking advantage of everything that they have exposure to. Like I think they could do a better job. And I say that having zero experience in this type of thing and having no idea how hard it is. So it's easy for me to say this, but I feel like they have access to so many more tickets and so many more jerseys and just things with clubs that they don't distribute and reward. Like they sent me a signed Midtjylland jersey, and like, do they have tickets for Midtjylland? If so, like I couldn't go, but like there are people I know that in the Sorare Scandinavia Discord who, if they had an opportunity to go to a Midtjylland game, they would. And why not do that? Like, do more of that. Yeah. That's something I need to think a lot about. Brad said, I want scarves. I don't know if they get scarves. Like, I think the funny thing is people are like, Sorare should be in like the jersey business and I can use my coin to get a jersey. Like, they're not. Who are the people used to own Newcastle? What was his company? Something Direct, Sport Direct. Is that what it's called? It's like Dick's Sporting Goods here. Like, they're not a football apparel company. Like, that's not what they do. Daniel said they absolutely need to start updating rosters every week. So many licensed players are not minted, and it's a core part of the game. So I think that's part on Opta, but I agree with you on that. Sports Direct. Thank you, Charlie. Pascal said, I think that technically they killed the medium user. I explained better. I used to follow middle range Eredivisie team and seek for undiscovered players. Now it's not rewarded. Just build a PSV stack. I mean, you can play them in Cap 240. Service said they send one of the biggest streamers, influencers on the platform a jersey of a team he collected. Touts equals they have lots more unused swag. I don't know about that. I have no idea what they have. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, you're just Mike it. All right. Miguel on YouTube and Mike on Twitter. I get it. Just Mike said I consistently now. Just Mike it has a gigantic gallery for everybody who's here and wants to know who we're talking about here. Like his last. In fact, do you only play unique and super? Oh, you do. Okay. I consistently ask myself these questions to keep buying. I trust the team. I love the product. What are they doing wrong that's going to limit my interest in taking advantage of this opportunity? I don't see the reason to be overly negative about the game, about like the game. Like fundamentally, that's what I talk about. Hadana said unlimited entries for cap 240, which I mean, that just increased costs for Sorare. Like, I don't know how many people are buying. Like, I'm not buying more cards for more entries. I'll just play the cards I have. And so I don't think that works out monetarily in Sorare's, not even just in Sorare's favor. I think it's like legitimately detrimental. Chaforko said, when I grow up, I just want to be John Nellis, and Sorare would send me to the best events with rewards, and I wouldn't care for threshold anymore. I would love to be John Nellis when I'm older. Totally agree. I think it's funny because everyone's like, they need to do marketing and completely ignore that. Like John Nellis is part of their marketing vehicle. Like that's their plan. Wow, you got to go to the VIP experience at wherever. How'd you do that? Oh, because of Sorare. What's Sorare? No, now you're in. Miguel said prices are down, yes, but we're in possibly the worst economic moment in the last 10 years to invest. Yeah. I mean, I think if you think that Sorare is a platform that will last for 20 years, realistically, who cares after that? Yeah, I think it's a great time. I'm having fun. I also haven't put any money in a while. And so maybe this new PayPal thing will change that. Vita, you are very late. We're an hour and 2 minutes in. In fact, I'm almost done. Yeah, I get it. I think you could keep the threshold as it is if you improve the rest of the game where people want to play the other parts of your game first and have the threshold go back to being an afterthought. But it's the most important thing right now. Pasquale, I was wondering myself these questions too. And apart from loving the product, they did huge improvements, but they moved away from the NFT scarcity logic toward a more fungible way to play Rivals. So they've never changed the scarcity situation at all, except in NBA where they made them more scarce, at least the maximum. Like we've always known this. And if you want to make the argument that they added more leagues and more teams, and so the total number of cards vastly increased, and that's helped push prices down. Like I can get that, but fundamentally, like we're not getting any more Mbappes or Haalands than we ever thought we would. Service said they're doing a lot of things wrong, but it's uncharted territory. Their birth/initial success was born from innovation. In my opinion, an equal level of innovation is only an avenue to long-term success. Totally agree. And we've said this before, there's not another company that they can look to and be like, oh, that's how they did this and it worked, so we'll do that. Or that company tried this and it didn't work, so we won't do that. There's nothing there. Like everything they do, there is no blueprint for it. And so to say like they're doing something wrong, we don't know. Like people might not love what they're doing, but there is no example of one that's right that they looked at and they were like, no, we're not going to do that. Like they're not ignoring previous successes. There just haven't been any. Scosmo, do you see yourself making significant investments again? I feel like most old users put their money in one go rather than drip feeding weekly, monthly. So that's actually, do I want to get into all of that now? Yeah, why not? I got nothing to do. And Vita just got here. So I think there's kind of this weird thought with Sorare that on how like people bring money to the site. Let me get through the rest of the comments before I really get into this. Okay, actually, I don't have to. So you look at a bunch of whales who deposited a ton of money at one point, and we all just, they were like, man, they're just milking the platform for rewards from now on. And I compare that to DFS, daily fantasy sports, for those of you who are unaware. So it's like DraftKings and FanDuel. And the way that you play those is like you deposit some money and you pay an entry fee to get in, and either you win or lose. And at some point, if you're not very good, you deposit more money. And if you're good, you never have to deposit again. And the way that their business works is very different than Sorare, because every time they run a contest, it's like they get a bunch of entry fees and they take 10% of those entry fees and they keep it for themselves. And then they pay out the rest to everyone else. It's actually way more than 10% now. But the Sorare doesn't work that way. And so looking at DFS and being like, that's how they do it, or looking at a sports book and being like, why don't they just do that, is like a complete misunderstanding of the businesses. But the way that I described Sorare to DFS people at one point was, because everyone's like, man, it's really expensive to get in. And it's like, yeah, but you buy your entry, you basically buy your entry fees in bulk at the beginning. And again, you don't have to play this way, but like that's kind of how we did before. With like, if you put $1,000 in and you buy these cards, and then you can play those forever. So you've paid your entry fees up front. And if you win, then you never have to pay again. And if you lose, or something happens with your cards, like you can buy back in. And that's how kind of it works. And I feel like Sorare look at some of the whales and they're like, man, they deposited all this money back then, but they're not depositing anymore. And part of it is they deposited a lot of money at the beginning, specifically so they did not have to deposit later. And a lot of the ones who were successful win rewards and are able to make money from that. And there's this weird thought that, and it's just weird thought that they need to get more people to spend, like more existing users to spend. And they absolutely do. But by pointing fingers at the people who put the most money in at the beginning and were successful enough that they don't have to deposit more is just weird. I'm not one of those people. Let me rephrase. I'm one of those people who deposited money at the beginning and took me a while to deposit again. And my last deposit was, where do I see that? Here we go. December 2022. So I basically have done like 3 waves of deposits on Sorare. I bought all of my early cards with a credit card. And that was before Gary Vee, so they weren't that expensive. I then made a deposit in March 2021 where I deposited ETH, and then December 2022. So 3 times. And the feeling that I get now is that Sorare is like, hey, we're going to need you to put some more money in. And my response is, I put my money in more than I probably would have. Well, no, not more. I knew what I was doing, but like I put an amount of money in and bought cards with that money, which looking back was terrible timing, in order to not have to pay entry fees later. And again, not entry, but to buy cards later. And there are plenty of users who deposited money at one point and were like, man, I wish I could buy some more cards, but I don't really want to deposit anymore. And it's like, sometimes you have to do that. The game moves on. And if you want to get, if your cards are not performing well, there is a path to get better cards, and it's to deposit more money. And And I almost feel like the whole, like, we need older users to deposit is like, we need everyone to deposit. And it really shouldn't be that case, but it's starting to feel that way. Vita said there's a big difference between not reinvesting, putting money from outside into Sorare, and not buying anything with your Sorare payouts, recycling in a way. So some were also taking money out. Yeah, so that's absolutely true. Yeah. But again, like, that happens in DFS too. Like, people withdraw and play with the money that they've won. You know, if you deposit $100, I mean, Keith Gator Guy is a perfect DFS, like, leech. Like, he deposited $25 into DraftKings and has played for years without depositing again. Like, he was successful, and it's always like, is he a bad customer? Or is it just that he's good at the game and they have other people who can deposit? Service said, for most of my Sorare career, I was reinvesting 50% of my winnings. The last 6 months, it's been less and less. But Service, I think there's a point where and not many people get there, but I feel like you've gotten to the point where it almost doesn't even make sense to reinvest as much, because, like, you have so many cards that are successful. And obviously there are still cards that, like, you could want, but that makes sense. Like, at some point, there's no reason to have to keep reinvesting as much as you previously were. Shiforko, see, my friend, that is exactly the point. You guys who get in early, really early, you deposited less than an ETH and you're doing great. That is why you don't care about threshold. Imagine us who put in a lot of money in later. I mean, I put in way more than an ETH, like way more. Like, mine was 1.5 ETH in March of 2021, and then almost 3.5 ETH in December. But also there's so few people who like, honestly, there are so few people who have done that, who put in less than an ETH are now just, like, winning everything. Like, that's not the case. What's scarier, a gator or a leech? Probably a leech. Like, the gator, is coming. We should all just blame it on Keith. Yeah. Keith has put in way more money to Sorare than he has into DraftKings. Mike said, I feel they turn to wanting existing users to redeposit when the new user influx numbers dry up. Yeah, I mean, of course. The point is, they always want somebody depositing. They don't care who it is. As long as more money comes in, like, that's the point. And obviously, existing users realize that existing users are looking at it in two ways. One, prices are really cheap right now, and they're like, wow, I should deposit and get in. Or, wow, prices are so low right now, I wouldn't dream of buying anything else because it's going to go down. And you have more people who think it's going down and therefore not buying. And so the push has to be for new users. Rivals. Speaking of rivals, I think I have a lineup going right now. I never checked the arena. Oh, I'm getting killed. Really? Poppy Sar? What do I have here? I'm going to lose 2 in a row in the arena. This is not good. Anyway. Vita said, prices are so low, I should reinvest. Only works once in the user lifetime, though. That's fair. Right. Like, you don't want people thinking multiple times, wow, prices are really low, I should buy in, because it's like, wait, I've done this already. So what's funny is that, when I deposited in December of 2022, and everything went to crap right after. It was like could not have timed that any worse. Like, people talk about how they were like, I bought at the top, or I deposited at the top. Like, me too. And that was the biggest deposit I'd ever made. Scosmo said, if card prices were 10x here, so many wouldn't care about the idea of removing threshold. The argument against change is purely driven by resentment at the losses, not an actual focus on the platform. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, obviously we wouldn't care about, there was a time when card prices were high enough where the card prices were high enough that the $50 0.02 ETH was just the afterthought. Oh, I got ETH. That's great. Where was I? Yeah, Vita said I deposited when ETH was 3,800. Yeah, I was actually dumb, and I went the other way. Like I bought ETH at 1,100, and when ETH shot up, I was like, I'm going to hold my ETH, and then it went back down, and then I deposited. And I was like, oh. Johnny said, I legit can't believe I used to put $5K a month into this game in 2022. Could never justify that now. Yeah, but look at your gallery now. And also, imagine what you could buy now. And Johnny, you can regret your timing, but it's not like you made a poor decision. Nobody knew. Like fundamentally, we had no idea. ETH was down from 4,300, so it seemed like good timing. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, people who look at what they consider bigger galleries think that those bigger galleries deposited nothing and are not good at the game. They just happen to buy the cards when they were $10 a card. And then the number of those users is so low. There's no way that I'm trying to think of the bigger one, Roxy's gallery is worth more than what he paid for it, but he wins a bunch. So that's right, Vita. My friends never forget we are pioneers. Yeah. Server said if cards were 10x, their daily revenue would be high enough where we would be saying they should raise the threshold, not to get rid of it for their financial health. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know what the solution is. But now that it's so easy to deposit, now I'm wondering which cards I really should buy. The PayPal thing is actually a legitimate game changer for NBA and MLB. Just because previously it's been impossible to deposit from deposit cash in the US. I don't know if anybody knows, but those two leagues are in the US, except for one game in Paris and 3 games in London. It was a long time talking about thresholds, and I didn't convince anybody that they should stay. Some of us are doing MLB again, Vita. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, as long as they're here, that's my priority. I decided not to try to do a 4-man threshold. I've pretty much given up on trying to get 4-man thresholds in super rare. I don't know why. But yeah. So actually, before I go, this Cap 240 team, which I didn't have, I had someone else in there before, is 4 out of 5 rewards. So now I'm just farming thresholds with reward 3 cards I never bought and would have never bought. So what's that say? It doesn't really say anything. Anyway, thank you everybody for coming. Please subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. We'll be back, or I'll be back on Monday with the game week preview. I think there's some midweek stuff. Nothing too exciting, I don't think. I don't know. We'll find out on Monday. And then I assume there'll be a show with Sean. I don't know what it is. Tuesday plan, I don't know yet, but Wednesday, like I said, Chani and I will be discussing progression versus domination. We both play very differently, and I think he's going to side on one, and I currently play on one, and I think I want to play on the other. And so maybe he'll convince me one way or the other, or I'll just deposit and do both. Huh? Right? Let's go. Anyway, thank you everyone, and good luck with all your lineups.